Mila na desturi zetu za Kiafrika, mzazi kuongelesha mtoto about sex, hiyo hatujalelewa kwa njia hiyo.
It's better to hear it from someone you know than to get it from somewhere else.
Hi! Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you are listening or watching. My name is Diki Chili, so welcome to my first episode of the FYI show, Matters That Matter. I was gone because I had done some 2 episodes previously, like some months ago. And I stopped because I went back to retrace myself. I was like, what is this I'm doing? This is not what I want to be known for, you know. Now I am back. I went, retraced myself. I went and, looked at what is my strength, what I'm passionate about. And now I think I am ready to entertain you, to inform you, and to educate you. Yeah, feels good to say that. As per the topic, you do understand what I'm speaking about. It's sex education. Najua watu wengi mnauliza, jameni, Dixon, what is this now you're telling us? What are this now you're bringing to us? But don't worry, you just sit back, enjoy the ride, and I assure you by the end of it, you will have enjoyed it. You've had that interview, those two people speaking at the beginning of the show, and those are some of the people that I spoke to regarding this topic. And you're going to be listening to more of what they said. That was just a highlight. And yeah, I'm so excited to be here. I'm so happy. I'm feeling good, hoping that you're feeling good too. Mimi kwanza, the weather. This is the best weather. Kumekuwa na joto. I am not a heat person. And kumekuwa na joto. So this is kind of like a relief. Also, I don't like vumbi like that. Mi kwanza when I hear ninaenda and then kuna vumbi and then kuna jua. You just get discouraged. You know those times you just feel like, hey, sasa nani anaenda huko. But now this weather, I'm just feeling it. Yeah. So I hope you're going to stay with me from the beginning to the end. And let's get into it. So, sex education. Okay, here's the thing. In this whole show, I would love for you to put yourself in two shoes. One shoe is that of a parent who has a child in school. And the other is you as a child. I need you to take yourself back to your childhood, to, in primary and secondary. And I will be taking you through that with me because I feel like we need to see things from that point of view to understand what exactly I'm saying, because this is a controversial topic and many people will like to see it from just their adult point of view. But it's also good, I feel like it's also good to see it from those points of view, from you as a parent or you as an aspiring parent or you as a child, remembering what you went through as a child. So let's get into it. A recent report by the Ministry of Health showed that 1 in 5 adolescents aged 15 to 19 years old are already mothers or are pregnant. Okay? Now, in the same period, statistics by the Ministry of Health showed that, on average, 98 new HIV cases were recorded every week among adolescents between 10 to 18 years old. Those are two statistics that are very worrying. And it's not a picture I would love to see. So what is obvious here, assessing from these two statistics, is that adolescents are having sex. And I went to do my research, Of course, these things you have to do research because I am no expert in these matters in sex education. But you see, through research, you can really learn a lot and share what you've learned from that. And that is what I'm doing. So when I went back to do my research, again, according to the new humanitarian organization, the lack of sex education is a major cause of rampant teenage pregnancies in Kenya. So confirms my own thinking that adolescents are having sex. That is the obvious thing. And they're doing it without the appropriate sex education. You see? Now, the questions come in. Is it time we introduced quality sex education in schools? How do we enforce it if we are to introduce that sex education? And whose business is it to enforce it? And when should it be enforced? And this when is not like, okay, it could be the time during the years to come, or when in the child's life should this be introduced. And we're going to speak about this more, okay? And now that brings me to exactly what I want to speak about. What is sex education? Let's begin by defining what sex education is really, according to, researchers and countries that have, implemented this thing. How they define sex education. They say it is the provision or delivery or transfer of knowledge about body development, sex, sexuality, relationships, and skill development to help young people make informed decisions about their sexual health. Okay? So here are the keywords: the provision of knowledge about body development, sex, and sexuality relationships to help young people make informed decisions about their sexual health. This covers what today I want to cover, because I feel that sex education is really appropriate, and it has been met by so much opposition. And I remember some years back, I don't know if it's 2013, I'm not sure, I was in Form 1. But I remember this thing, something of this sort. So I went back and did my research again, as I should. Um, I went back and did my research, and I think, yeah, it's 2013. The reason why sex education is not implemented in Kenya right now is because there was a bill in that year, around that year, where the parliament was to pass the implementation of comprehensive sex education. And they did not pass it because it was negatively received. It was really opposed by religious institutions, conservatives, activism organizations, parents. They were told this is not good. It will destroy the morals of your kids, and it was never implemented. And I think that is why we find ourselves in the situation right now, where girls are getting pregnant because they don't have that information. Yet we refused it as a society. We said no, no. And some may blame this to COVID-19. Wengine watasema, you see, COVID-19 is the one that is causing rampant teenage pregnancies. But these teenage pregnancies have been there before COVID-19. We are out of COVID, more or less. I feel so. Although I saw the number is rising now. But we are out of it to some extent. And there are still cases, rampant, many cases of teenage pregnancies. Personally, I think COVID-19 made it worse, but after that, there is really nothing else that we can blame, if not sex education. Lack of sex education, that is. Through my digging, I went back to an interview that was done like months ago. Or is it a year? Like 11 months ago, I think. And they were speaking to, activists and, gender-based violence experts. And they had a teenage mom in that session, which was an amazing thing, because you need to hear from the people who are experiencing it. What are they lacking? And this girl, what she was insisting from the beginning, because for her, she was pregnant, she was a teen mom, and she got pregnant and she gave birth. And she had a rough time taking care of the pregnancy, taking care of the child. On top of that, she was infected with HIV. Mind you, she said that she had only one boyfriend. Okay? Looking at what she said, that means that there's something that she lacked. And she insisted on it from the beginning to the end. These are some of the things that she said that she lacked that person to go to talk to. She lacked information. And I was able to summarize some of the things that she said are the cause of teenage pregnancies and HIV infection rates among teenagers, among youngsters, across board. Some of the things. And one, she said, a lack of honest conversations. And here she insisted on parents not calling a spade, not saying it, you know? And this takes me back to high school. And it's a funny example, but it's very serious. And this is where I want you to take yourself back as a child, what you were told and what you thought about sex, the things you imagined about sex, because most probably no one told you sex is like this. You need to use condoms, you need to use contraceptives. It was usilale na kijana, usicheze, usiruke na vijana, you know what, those things. In our high school, back to my example, our principal came to the assembly one time and he confessed that he was dealing with a case of two students, a guy and a girl. And he said that these two students had sex while standing up. Okay? And the reason they did it is because they knew that kulala na kijana ama kulala na msichana is what will get the girl pregnant. So they did it while standing up because the girl will not get pregnant when they have sex standing up, because sio kulala na kijana. And you can imagine, that is high school. So what does a primary school student think? Me, when I remember the things I used to imagine about sex, yo. It wasn't, I don't want to confess, sitaki kujaibisha hapa, but the things I imagined about sex without asking anyone. And it was very awkward for you to ask your parent. And that is why I'm saying there is that lack of honest conversations. So that when a child goes out there, they understand what they're doing. The second thing that she said was lack of information, which I've been insisting from the beginning. And that information can be, passed through quality sex education, right? Also, she mentioned, the lady who was being interviewed, she mentioned that the lack of people to run to for information, because teachers out there can't, some of the teachers, you can't even approach them. Your parents, you can't speak to them about this. It's a very awkward thing to speak about it, and it feels like a taboo. Also, social media. She said that, which I agree with, social media is the cause of teenage pregnancies, because girls see what other people are posting, the well up, and they post the good life, and they see the good life on Instagram, on Facebook, and you just see somebody living the good life, and you want that life, and that girl wants that life. So what does she do? She gets into a thing. I don't want to call it a relationship, a thing. Anapata mbaba, she's a teenager, mind you. Anapata mubaba, kabudesco. And I'm sponsor, buys her the good things, makes her live the good life. And of course, the repayment is sex. And that is how she may get infected or get pregnant. And why are we not having these conversations? Let's listen into the opinions of those that I got to interview.
Guys, this is Wanjo. Jua sisi wa Afrika ama mila na desturi zetu za Kiafrika, mzazi kuongelesha mtoto about sex, hiyo hatujalelewa kwa njia hiyo, ama hatujakuzwa katika hiyo. Sisi mila yetu na ya Kiafrika, ile inafaa na ile inafaa ikuwepo na kuendelea, hizi zinafunzwa kwa shule, lakini sio mzazi anakalisha mtoto chini kumweleza hizi mambo.
I think sex education is very important, especially for this generation right now. They are introduced to the internet so early. And you know, internet doesn't have filters, so it's important for you to explain to them before, or if they come across it, they know what it is. Sisi, we were not taken through this process, sex, nini. But I think it's very important to talk about it. You know, they always say that, maybe, let me quote it as, your mother's voice is partly your inner voice. So it's better to hear it from someone you know than to get it from somewhere else. Ni vizuri upate the deep explanation, the in-depth of everything, kuliko usikie kwa mtu, ama ujikute, unaona, yeah.
You've listened to that. One of them is speaking about, in the African culture, which is something I forgot to mention, but it's good that he said it. In the African culture, si kitu tunastahili kuongelelea. The other one said it is something she will introduce to her kids as young as they are. Because of the internet, because of the world we live in right now. I feel that when we implement sex education, it's going to solve a huge chunk. It may not solve the whole problem, but it's going to solve a huge part of this problem. Teenage pregnancies and HIV infection rates among young teenagers, among youngsters in general. And this goes back to you as a child. Would you have loved to, know what you know now? As a parent, right now, if you have a child, is it something that you would love your child to know, just to protect them from having to go through this? Teenage pregnancies, having to cater to a child that they're not ready for, having to deal with HIV infection if they are infected, the complications of the whole disease, What do you think? I know in my heart it's going to strike a nerve or two, but it's a necessary conversation to have. Okay? So, thank you so much for listening. And if you're here at this end of the show, thank you so much. I forgot to shout out, you have probably seen the promo video. That was the work of Jeff Siminte. He's a graphic designer. So shout out to you. Shout out to you, Jeff. Thank you so much for that. Of course, I had an input, the photos, the script for that. I wrote it. Also for the background music, for any background music that you hear around, hata kwa hiyo promo, anywhere you hear, that has been the work of Manu, the producer, and his team. So thank you so much. Shout out to you. I mean, this would not have been possible if it were not for you. These things you can't do by yourselves. So I was happy to have people who were willing to help. And thank you to you guys. So thank you for listening. I hope I didn't bore you. I hope you got something, one or two things from here and there in this show. And this is the kind of topics and the conversations that we'll be having moving forward. And of course, we'll be having more hot topics moving forward. Yeah, and it's gonna be an exciting ride. If you've made it here, thank you so much. You're an OG. Don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend or two, tell them about this show, tell them how entertaining, how exciting it is, how informative and educative it is. Tell them about it. Tell a friend or two. Yeah, share it. If it has bombarded you, kama imekubamba, hit that like button and post it on your status. Share it with people. I'll appreciate it. Okay? I will really appreciate it. So shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Diki Chilis. This has been the FYI show, Matters That Matter. I hope you got something. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.